Green, green river laid out by my front door, and I'm miles and miles from the nearest store. Pop full of crap.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About with Biff, Lucky, and Mr. Fun, the podcast where we will talk about everything. We will talk about anything. Quite frankly, we're going to talk about it all today and then some. So, completely remote again. I think with better audio. So hopefully it will come through on the recording. But gentlemen, good to see
we're
you.
going to talk about it all and then some. Like that's almost like what else? What's the then some?
Infinity.
Okay.
Well, we were just it was just Pi Day on last Friday, right? 3.14. Guy, the world record had done it out to 100,000 units. So we could talk about a lot. We could talk about Pi Day. So
are you supposed to eat pie on Pi Day? I'm on a diet, so I don't know these things.
Oh yeah, really? That would stop you from eating pie because you're on a diet?
Maybe a little taste. Maybe a little taste of the pie. Yeah.
I think I saw you on a video recently where you were eating food. You know, on one of
chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
Yeah.
Your alternate personality was out there eating chicken wings.
Yeah, right. Okay, Mr. Fun. So you eat a lot of chicken wings. Like you eat chicken wings at a lot of your main meals or whatever. Do you find it's like a weight loss? Is it like a superfood for weight loss?
No, because half the time they make them, they're fried, or whatever. They're not baked. So yeah, I think they're filled with calories, but they're the good calories, whatever those are.
Okay,
that's good. So, I'm not drinking a drink of the week, but Mr. Fun, I believe you are partaking in something here. What do you got?
So I found Canada Dry ginger ale, cranberry flavored, and I decided to give it a try. And I liked it, so I decided to give it another try with Scotty's vodka in it. So I am drinking what are we calling it, Biff? What are we
Scotty's
calling it?
O Canada.
This is Scotty's O Canada, which is, again, Canada Dry. What I did was I took 3 giant gulps out of the can, and then I replaced that by pouring vodka, Scotty's vodka in it. That's the recipe. And
this is your way to talk about the tariff issue, right? And between the two countries, which has heated up.
Do you want to know what I learned about tariffs?
Yes.
Yes. So I wanted to know how this could affect the show, how it could affect Biff, Lucky, and Mr. Fun. And I saw a list of products and services that it could really they could retaliate and take away from us. So I did read that lemons and limes could go way up in price. And I thought of Biff, because Biff likes to make a cocktail with lemons and limes. And then I read in the New York Post that one of the services that is Canadian, and they could cut it off, and 3 million people a month would suffer from this. And I thought of Lucky because it's Pornhub, and they could cut off Pornhub, Lucky. The Canadians, it's a Canadian-based company.
Oh, shit. What am I going to do?
I thought you want to know that. So
he's not
going
to
Florida
either.
Are you going to be impacted?
What I'm an American. If they cut it off, I'll honor. I won't try to beat it. I won't pay for it. I'll cut it out.
Ironically, you said you won't try to beat it. But anyways, on that. So well, good, Mr. Fun. Do we have a joke of the week?
Well, it's St. Patrick's Day, right?
It is. The day this comes out will be St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, I'm going to a happy hour with a fake Dwayne Johnson. Yeah, it's a shamrock.
The fake. That's actually
You want another one?
I'll give you a little credit. Wait. I have a new one though for that. On a joke where we laugh.
Yeah. Oh, do it.
No, it didn't go.
Do it.
Technical difficulties.
No, I got the volume down. Here we go. I'll do it again. There we go.
Thank you.
So,
Rim shot.
So
listen, this kid wakes up. He lives on a farm, and he goes downstairs, and his mom is cooking breakfast. He says, "What's for breakfast?" And she goes, "Well, nothing for you unless you do your chores." And he goes, "But I'm hungry." And he goes, "Well, do your chores first, and then you'll have bacon and eggs for breakfast." And so the guy's mad. He's hungry. He goes outside. The kid goes outside, and he kicks the chicken, but he gathers the eggs. And then he kicks the cow, and he gathers some milk. And then he kicks the pig, and he feeds the pig. And he comes in, and his mom's got a bowl of dry cereal on the table. And he's like, Mom, I thought you said it was going to be bacon and eggs. And she said, yeah, but I saw you kick the chickens, so no eggs for you. And then I saw you kick the cow, so no milk for you. And then I saw you kick the pig, so no bacon for you. So suddenly the dad comes downstairs, and the cat's in the way, and he kicks the cat. And he looks over at his mom, and he says, Mom, are you going to tell him, or should I?
Good one.
Very good. Very good.
I don't get a rim shot for that.
Oh, well, I can do it. Hopefully it'll do it.
There
we go. There's the rim shot.
This is fun for that, for a rim shot. That's a rim job.
Yeah. Oh, stop. All right. Lucky, you've been doing some world traveling, European adventure. How was it?
I'm back. Yeah. After 2 weeks in the traveling abroad, trying to bridge the gap between the U.S. and all the European countries to make sure that we're friends again and whatnot. But no, it was a great trip. And, one of these things, again, it's NCAA, tournament time, Terps are playing, they're relevant for the first time in a long time. It was hard to watch the Terps from Europe. And again, a lot of the services like the Big Ten Network, I've subscribed to that to be able to watch games online. There's a bunch of radio stations. All those things are blocked over in Europe. So I had to I couldn't get any of the games. I had to watch the play-by-play in ESPN.com's box score to watch the follow the service. So that was like a big, and the time difference, of course, was a pain in the butt.
You're the techiest of the three of us. Why? I mean, you pay for the service. I understand it's going by an IP address, but why don't you think they allow it while you're traveling?
So the radio broadcast of it, comes through the One Maryland app. And when I played it, it said, "Oh, you're listening in from a blah 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 outside the country. We're not allowed to broadcast it." All of the CBS, Maryland, I think, had a game on CBS. The Big Ten Network, all of those, they were all blocked, and I'm not sure why.
Maybe they sell the rights. Maybe you have to buy a different subscription, sell the rights while over there for expats that are living in that country. But
yeah,
that's amazing. Cool. We asked you about a European trip, and all you've talked about so far is basketball.
Well, okay, but that was again. I'm in. We'll talk about the NCAA selections came out tonight. We'll talk a little bit about where Maryland landed in a second. But no, I mean, Europe was amazing. We spent about 5 days in Amsterdam, Paris, and London. Did a lot of the touristy stuff, but we also did like local stuff. So here are just some of the main observations of those places. Is number one, the traffic is ridiculous in those cities, particularly Paris and London, and which the mass transit is amazing. It works. You can go everywhere, anywhere, and it's inexpensive. So, which is really cool. We got Ubers a couple times, and it was like ridiculous. It took us like so long to get like short places. So, but the other interesting thing is the tipping over there. Like right. They don't really like in restaurants and stuff and bars, they don't really expect tips. But the other corresponding part to it is the service sucked in all the restaurants in all 3 cities.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Have you experienced that at all?
Yeah, I have found that once they find out you're American, they typically expect you to tip. Which is, they don't expect it from others. It's just a kind of, we're known for that, I guess, globally for tipping. I've had, I'd say generally speaking, pretty good service over in Europe, but I get it. Especially, Paris, the one challenge of Paris is if you don't at least try to speak a little French somehow, just saying please and thank you, right? They can be, a bit put off by not trying. And that does maybe impact service a little bit. But yeah, I get it. It's also to the point that relations right or wrong aren't great between the two areas right now, and I'm sure that has an impact.
Well, it's interesting because I met a bunch of different people. We did a bunch of like touristy stuff, tours, and that kind of stuff. And we had people from all over the world that were in our groups, and everybody's chit chatting. We did like pub crawls in London and other things. And when they find out you're from America, they want to talk politics with you. And it's funny, I don't really care to talk politics with those folks, but the world is very interested in what's going on in the United States. And there were so many times during our 2-week period of time over there that people were asking questions.
And that's been true. I've been going to Europe for, I don't know, 35 years thereabouts. That's been true the entire time. They want to talk about U.S. politics because of the influence that the U.S. has, on everything globally, right? And obviously in European relations, what have you. So it's not surprising, but it just takes on a different tone sometimes. So.
Well, it was funny. One of the things they announced while we were over there, with this tariff battle is, for all the European wines are going to be like 200% tariff on them. I'm like, I drank as much wine over there as I could because I don't come back here. It won't be so expensive. But I don't know, amazing trip. We ate a ton. Dutch pancakes on the top of the list. English breakfast on the bottom of the list. Whoever eats an English breakfast, which includes like blood pudding, beans, tomatoes, eggs, a bunch of meat, that's like ridiculous. That's as much food as somebody would eat in one day.
I like full English breakfast. I don't eat the black pudding, which you talk about, but I don't mind it with beans, and I like the tomato, the mushrooms, the fried egg, and their bacon's different, right? I think they call ours skinny bacon or something because of the way it's cut, but theirs is more Canadian bacon like. It's good. Yeah. I like it.
That's a good reason to have succeeded from them because their breakfast sucked.
Yeah, that's right. So I had no flight issues.
Flights were beautiful. Direct flights. Again, not a blip. But it's funny. So we did have a couple interesting things over there, though, transportation wise. We took I took a train from what did we do? I took a train from Amsterdam to Paris. The next day, they found a World War II bomb like on the train tracks near Paris and shut down the whole system. I missed it by a day, luckily, but which was crazy. And then when we were in London, somebody decided to climb the London Bridge the day after we got there, and it was a bridge we walked back and forth like 4 or 5 times. They closed the bridge for the whole day because somebody was like up there on the bridge. Which was interesting.
Did you? I think, like, you're aware of it. This Air India flight issue out of Chicago to New Delhi.
I did see that.
I picked up the whole. I saw the article and I read it about that flight. They were 4.5 hours into it, and 11 of the 12 toilets backed up from too much defecation. No other way to put it. So they were over Greenland, and they had to turn around for 4.5 hours back. And can you imagine that 4.5 hours back? They've already clogged the toilets in the first 4.5 hours, and now they have no toilets effectively for the second 4.5 hours. And the only toilet that worked was in business class. So you imagine that you're the people in the front of the plane having to deal with that shit, literally.
Wait! It was an Air India.
It was an Air India plane
flying over Greenland.
Well, they fly over the top. If you fly from the U.S. to India, you fly.
And they
kind
couldn't
of over
just dump it on Greenland. And just
they don't do that anymore.
I don't think they do that anymore. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. But then they had to ground the plane for 2 days to disinfect it when they got it back. I mean, it's just crazy.
What did they find out? What the source of everybody taking too many number twos in the thing?
There's a lot of jokes, I'm sure, about Indian food. Who knows? They were just they were locked and loaded, ready to go. I guess when they got on that airplane.
Curry. They were in a hurry to get rid of their curry.
Oh, okay.
So wait, I got a story about this. Are you done talking about Europe, or can we let
go ahead? Yeah.
So there was a photographer, and he walks into a public bathroom in New York City, and there's this high-powered stockbroker in there, and he catches him masturbating. And it was just about when he was about to orgasm. So he just instinctively took a picture of it. So the stockbroker is like, dude, this will ruin my career. You gotta sell me that camera. I'll give you $1 million for it. So the guy goes, okay. So he sells his camera for $1 million. And that week, the guy was traveling to Europe. So he gets a cab in London, and he's going around, and he thought, I'll take the camera. It's a beautiful camera. I'll take the camera. So he's leaning out the window. He's taking a picture of the London Bridge and Big Ben and Parliament and all this stuff. And the taxi driver says, hey, that's a really nice camera. What does something like that cost you? And he said, it cost me $1 million. And he said, whoever sold that to you, whoever sold you that must have seen you coming. Must have seen you coming.
Jeez.
I think Biff hit a button.
Oh my God! Here.
Now you can boo me.
There you go.
There we go. If only you could find a boo button. So speaking of $1 million, we sorry, did that again. We talked about the Bitcoin price beginning of the year. You've been watching that. As of an hour ago, it was $82,400 for a Bitcoin, which I think was over 104, something like that.
Yeah, down about 20%.
And we had that whole debate about whether we would buy Bitcoin or not. What do we think? Is this just a blip? Do we think
the whole market? The whole market is reacting. I don't think it's Bitcoin in isolation. You got to look at this whole stock market. I think there's a lot of turmoil in our country right now in terms of financial things, and are we talking ourselves into a recession? And I think that's got everybody afraid. So I think I put Bitcoin in the same category as the stock market. Everybody's. Just
the market was probably overvalued a bit, anyways, right? And so it's it goes in and out of correction territory depending upon the time of the day, right? So it's going to be interesting to watch. Obviously, the tariff thing has made some people uneasy because they can't predict. There's no certainty for businesses to predict their future on, right?
Yeah.
Stocks will be overvalued. That has nothing to do with tariffs, but they're just using that as the opportunity to get the price.
Bitcoin is like having a girlfriend in high school. You just never know when it's going to go down on you.
Jeez.
That's a good one. I like that.
That was
speaking of economy. I made the mistake today. I had Costco withdrawal being away for so long, so I decided in my stupid mindset to go to Costco on a Sunday. It was flashbacks of like Costco rage that I used to experience in the old days. It's like the parking lot's full, everybody's pissed off, everybody's like yelling at everybody in the lines. But for the first time in a long time, Costco has eggs. They haven't had eggs, and now they have eggs. I forget. I didn't even look at the price, but they were rationing them. You can only buy three packs, which that's a good sign though that eggs are back in the mix.
Yeah. The price of eggs has come down. I have seen that. I did also see that egg theft is up like 3,000%. Right? We talked about that in that one up in Pennsylvania, but the price has come back down a little bit. So we'll see. It's an interesting dynamic. Somebody said, which is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say the interesting thing was that the price of eggs, they killed 30 million chickens, right? Or something like that, egg-laying chickens. But the price of chicken hasn't gone up, which is, I understand there are two different types of chickens, ones that produce eggs versus not. But wouldn't that be if the bird flu is hitting birds, why wouldn't the price of chicken go up?
Are you thinking it's a conspirity of some sort?
It seems a little odd to me. Why the two were not related.
I think we need to get the research department on that one and try to figure what's going on.
Yeah. So.
I heard Costco was having a big sale on paddles. Yeah, it turned out to be a big ordeal.
What?
It was a big ordeal.
Oh, big ordeal. Jeez.
Yeah. All right. Here's something else also hot off the presses. The men's bracket for the NCAA basketball tournament was announced just not that a few minutes ago, and our Maryland Terrapins are 4 seed in the West, which sort of sucks because they have to go all the way out to. I think they're playing out in Spokane Seattle.
Yeah, they're in Seattle the first games.
Yeah, and we're playing Grand Canyon University, who is the number 13 seed. Which this is the first time Maryland's ever played them. I don't know anything about Grand Canyon. I don't even know what their mascot is. What do you think a mascot of Grand Canyon is, Mr. Fun?
I think it's a donkey.
Grand Canyon donkeys?
A donkey? A donkey.
Oh, a donkey. That's good. I'm gonna make a prediction that I think from what I'm hearing and looking at, Grand Canyon is a good first game for us. It's better than Drake. It's better than, it's just a better game for us. So I think we win that one. I did look at their roster. They got 2 7-footers. They got a guy who's 6'10". They got some height, but none of those guys score the ball. So we'll see. And then the second round, I feel like is a real favorable matchup for us, regardless of who it is. So I think Sweet 16 is, and then it gets tough. The top 3 teams in that, Florida is really good.
Yeah.
So
and St. John's is in
St. John's, yeah. But I do predict. Well, I have no issues with us going at least to the Sweet 16.
Well, if we win that Grand Canyon game, we play the winner of Missouri and Memphis and Colorado State, which I think Memphis has a good team, but one of their key guys is injured, so that might be good for Maryland. But the big controversy is that North Carolina got into the field as the last team in, and they had this ungodly, they were 1-12 against Quad 1, which are call them top 25 teams. They had this ungodly record against good teams, and
20-win season, which used to almost guarantee you got in, but now people play a bunch of powder puffs. Almost everybody does. So 20 is like the minimum to get into the tournament right now.
Yeah.
But Barry had 20.
But there's a lot of good teams, a lot of mid-major teams that didn't get, North Carolina got in. And the big controversy is the North Carolina athletic director is the chairman of the selection committee. And so I don't know if anybody watched the interview, the CBS guys asked him point blank, okay, this is an inevitable question. You were the committee chairman. Tell us about North Carolina. And he basically said, well, I recused myself when anytime North Carolina was being discussed, and he punted over to the assistant chairman that was with him on the show. And they basically explained why North Carolina got in. I still don't think it passes muster, to be honest with you, for a team that against good teams, basically they went 1-12. That's just ridiculous.
Did you watch the end of that game the other night? Or Lucky, you were it was a Friday, so you were still in Europe. The free throw. North
Carolina lost because the lane violation. Yeah.
And it's just incredible they lose, which is probably second only to watching the Maryland loss, unfortunately, where they were up by how many seconds? 4 seconds in the Maryland game, something like
4
that,
seconds.
or maybe
up by 1.
and up by 1, and the Michigan player runs all the way down the court. And I was thinking about it and scores the layup, right? And I guess I was thinking about it, thinking, well, that was just crappy defense on Maryland's part. But the players are put into a tough position there, right? Because they can't foul. Right. So what do you do? What should Maryland have done in that case? Line 5 people up around the basket and make them shoot an outside shot? I don't know what you do in that case.
Well, if you watch that last play that Maryland lost on, our guards were too far down the court. And so they
couldn't catch up with him when he came running, right?
Yeah, they ran. They had it was a set play that Michigan ran.
Yeah,
and our guys were out of position. And after that, they could have pulled up and took it a 3, or they just went to the rim and scored the bucket. I mean, it was a great play by the Michigan team, and poor defense on our guards who should have been guarding that to slow the ball down. That's what the goal is to slow it down.
The announcer had it right though. When they scored the free throw, they were inbounding the ball, and he said, don't let Donaldson get the ball back. Donaldson was inbounding the ball, and he's the only one with the speed to take it coast to coast. Almost every other player on that team probably would have had to pull up for a jump shot. And he inbounds it, got it right back, and sprinted down and scored the layup.
So who was the overall number 1 seed in the tournament?
Now,
the 4 so it's the 4 number 1s are Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston. So Auburn is the overall number 1.
Yep.
And who do you like of those 4 teams? I'm not sure. I've seen Houston a little bit.
Yeah, Duke, Cooper Flagg, they're freshman of the year, awesome player, All-American, has been injured. They say he's going to come back. Duke won the ACC championship yesterday without him. But if he's limited, that takes those guys out. But Florida is playing so well. Auburn has had a great year. The SEC, that's interesting. The SEC got 14 teams into the field, and it was such an issue because they have in 3 instances SEC teams may play each other in the second round.
Okay.
So I mean, which nobody wants to see, because that's what they've seen all year. So they had a hard time putting the 14 teams in the bracket so they wouldn't play each other so early. But Florida and Auburn, both SEC teams, I think.
So the highest ranked Big Ten team is Michigan State. They lost in the semis of the tournament, but they were number one in the conference, right?
Number one in the conference. And they were a 2 seed.
So they rewarded them as the number one team in the conference as opposed to losing in the tournament, or the Big Ten tournament, that is.
It's a big win during the season too.
Yeah. I mean, Michigan State's a good team. They always play well. So I think a 2 seed is fine for them. Maryland was second in the Big Ten. They're a 4 seed. Their loss yesterday didn't really impact that. I don't think they would have gone up to a 3 seed. Wisconsin's a 3 seed. They lost in the Big Ten championship today, but so we'll see how the Big Ten does. I think they're a underrated conference. Maryland is, has the starting 5 to do some damage. So I think they definitely make the Sweet 16. It would be nice to see them play Florida.
Yeah. So have either of you, I know you're going to do some pools, right? You typically do pools. Have either of you ever won one of the pools that you've ever participated in?
Jeez,
I won a minor pool. I think I won $100.
You won $100, but not a big one, like
right.
So
never won a big one.
So I do a bracket, and I'm in a couple of those pools every year. But I also do one where it's like a Super Bowl grid, where every game, you have a winner and a loser score, and you can the early games count less. So you buy a box for like $50 or $100, and every game counts. And I've won money in those. I've won like Final 8 and Final 4 games, which. If you're in $100 one of those, it's significant money. But the bracket ones, I don't think I've won in like 20 years.
So I was in a pool. I was leading throughout. It was incredible throughout but it was so heavily weighted towards like it always is, towards the big games in terms of the points you can score. That I was winning going into a final, and I had UNLV. Do you remember with Akeem Olajuwon, and there was no way they were going to lose that game, and
right.
that was a big money pool. That was a couple $1,000.
That was like 35 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. When UNLV lost, I lost that pool. Hey, I got a question for you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I got a question for you. So, and I don't mean to be a party pooper. I understand it's kind of fun to have real people in a committee involved in choosing all this. With AI, couldn't they feed enough information into the system to pick the brackets that there theoretically would be no controversy? Can't AI select the 64 teams? No, why not?
Because they take in so there's so many subjective things. Like, and one thing that they're starting to take into account now is like if a key player is injured, they can now take points off your resume because of that, and that's a hard one for AI to factor in. I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with the suggestion. I think they should. The problem is that the big money follows the big conferences. Is that you wouldn't get 14 teams in from the SEC if you used AI. It would pick the third in the Missouri Valley Conference. Right. That's the issue. And right now it's set up that you've got to win the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, generally speaking, to get in because you're a mid-major. You're right. It should do it, but they're never going to let it happen.
I should know this. When they put out the top 25 teams, is that a committee or is that done through a computer?
It's voting.
It's voting.
So two votes.
Is there any pool? Is there any? Yeah, I knew that now that I asked it. But is there any just strength of schedule? These are the top 25 teams based on wins and strength of schedule. Does that ever come out?
Well,
no,
okay,
that plays into that quad. When it does play into the rankings, though, right? Because you can play in the top. There's the quad 1 win, quad 2 win, whatever they call that strength of schedule. The rest of those coaches on one hand and press on the other, right? There's 2 polls. So who knows?
Yeah. But So did we talk about our coach Willard for the Terps? The controversy with him tonight? So
no, we haven't talked about it yet, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so Coach Willard in his 3rd year with the Terps. All these rumors this weekend that Villanova is courting him. And we're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we may not have a coach. And then the next bit of news is he's going to become in the top 10 highest paid coach. Maryland is going to give him a new contract. So we should probably see that news when people are listening to this podcast. Number one, and number two, which is interesting. So we've been talking about like the universities now can have like $20.5 million is the NCAA limit for how much schools can pay their players and directly. And so they're divvying out that money between football, men's basketball, and women's basketball predominantly. Maybe some of the other sports get a little bit. But in Maryland's situation, like they were like, okay, about 4 million of that 20.5 is going to go to men's basketball. But Coach Willard now is negotiating to get more of that. And so he's probably going to scrape some money away from football. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because it could, we could save ourselves by keeping our coach, but we're going to have to sell our souls, and then our football team gets, at the detriment of our football team.
I saw on X somebody saying there was zero credibility to that story, or zero. He's a Maryland guy. He loves it, but his agent did the right thing by, leveraging those stories and getting him this raise. Yeah. So it's interesting how quickly they panic. Like, could they have waited till after the tournament? I mean, for the rumor to come out in one day and they offer him a raise the same day seems a little bit unbelievable. Like, it's crazy.
Well, one last thing on this is when Seton Hall was in the NCAA tournament 4 years ago, and Coach Willard was the coach, and Maryland was working Willard. I think Seton Hall laid an egg in the NCAA tournament that year.
Yeah.
Because again, the team got distracted, and then
interesting.
Yeah. But okay, and so I have one more thing, and it's a provocative question. We're talking about money. Okay, so I'm interested in your guys' take on this. Okay, so here it is. You will be given $50 million, but you will have bad breath, stinky armpits and feet, and acne all over your face forever. Would you take the money?
Am I me? I'm married and old?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm taking the money. I'm taking the money. I don't have to smell good or look pretty anymore. I just want to be rich.
What about you, Beth?
That context always matters, but my reaction is no. I wouldn't take the money.
You would say no. Yeah, that's an easy one for you. Have you ever had a zit?
I've had zits. Yes, I've had zits. So but I just look. I think is there an amount that gets you to? So what's your Lucky? What's your opinion?
I'd probably take it. I think everybody'd still be my friends. My wife would still love me. My kids would.
What's the deal? I have to smell. I have acne, and what's the other
breath.
one?
Bad breath.
Yeah, some people say I have bad breath now.
Zits, though. It's the zits. I think it's the zits are the one that you'd be like a leper.
Yeah.
Right.
We have some friends that like live life like this now. So I mean, you know.
Yeah. You'd have to, if vanity has anything to do with it, you would have to live sort of like a recluse in some case. Now you'd have a lot of money, don't get me wrong, and maybe you could buy some things, but you'd probably be, lonely. And
money can buy you love. It can buy you love. Lucky, look at Biff. Look how good looking that guy is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? He has spent his whole life worrying about his zits.
He's been riding with good looks his whole life. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, there's no way. There's no way that guy's going to have zits.
Anyways, I'm on record. I'm not taking the money. So you guys can take the money.
I think, Biff, if the money was sitting right in front of you, you'd be a little bit, you'd give it a little bit more thought.
The minute you touch that money, though, you're going to stink. And all of a sudden, you're gonna be one big pustule on your head. So that's what it's gonna be. So, it's a good question. Though we'll let others tell us what they would do on the podcast. Hey, just real quick before we wrap it up here, Alex Ovechkin, he is 8 goals away from tying. I think it's tying the record. I might be slightly wrong on that. It's either tie or break, but I think it's tying the all-time goal scoring record. 2 things. One, I thought he was achieving this in a lot longer time than Wayne Gretzky. They're about the same number of games. So he's not done this in any different time frame, which I found to be interesting. Second one, controversy is, should the Washington Capitals announcers be on the national broadcast when they break the game? We'll come back to that point. The third one is, oddly, for the Capitals, three of their last 4 games are away games, right? And the last game of the season is an away game at the New York Islanders. So there's a chance he does this when he's not even at home. The 4 games are, just so we're clear, Boston on April 1st, Carolina away on April 2nd, home against Chicago, and then New York Islanders the last game. So it's an odd thing. But Lucky, as a pseudo Caps fan for your whole life, what do you think about the announcers thing?
I don't think that passes muster. I mean, like if they're playing the Rangers, you want the Rangers guys calling the game. I don't think you put the Caps
No, it's
guy.
a difference is a national broadcast. Say it's becomes the NBC game of the week or the ESPN, whoever does that. I don't even know who does hockey anymore. They've got their national guy, and should that person supersede the local guy on the broadcast in Washington, for example?
I don't think so.
Like that.
I think you let they have their stable of announcers that do the national games. Let those guys do it. I don't think it would only benefit the 2 announcers who would want to call the game. I don't think rank and file Caps fans would care who's calling the game. That's
I think they would. I think they would. I really do think they would. It's Al Koken, right? Is that one of the announcers? I think, or maybe it's not Al Koken. But anyways, I think that they've been listening to. There's 2 announcers. There's Craig Laughlin, right? I think is the other one, the color guy. They've been listening to them the whole time, and I just think that it does take something away if you're a local fan. It would be like the equivalent of I'm sorry, who was the guy in the Yankees announcer, the famous one?
Phil Rizzuto.
Phil Rizzuto. If there was a big game and they didn't have Phil Rizzuto on.
No, you know what? When I remember when Hank Aaron hit the broke Babe Ruth's record, and it was what was it? The famous guy. Anyway, It was a national announcer. It was great. I don't think the announcer set the record. I think Ovechkin set the record.
No, I agree with you there. With you there. That's a big deal.
Yeah. You know what I think who they have to have on the broadcast is Wayne Gretzky as a commentator.
That would be great. That's perfect.
We got to have him, and he give his thoughts and as the game's going on.
So it's Joe Beninati. I forgot that was the guy's name, the announcer for the Caps. Yeah. The final thing I'd say on it is that I imagine that Ovechkin has some goals that Gretzky never had. Ovechkin's got a lot of empty net goals, right, towards the end of the game. And I wonder how many Gretzky had. It's just an interesting thing. I just don't imagine that he was in garbage time a lot or whatever the case may be.
Oh, I see.
That's just my view. So,
hey, I got a question. I got a riddle for you. And if you've heard it before, don't be so obvious with the answer. You're in a race, and you pass the guy in second place. What place are you in?
You're in a race, and you pass the guy that's second place.
What comes to mind? Just yell it out.
Well, first place.
If you pass the guy who's a second, you're now in second.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Very good.
Why is that so hard? Everybody says first.
I knew it was second.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you say it?
Well, I was about to, and if somebody gave me an opportunity.
Well,
I mean, I had to rethink it a couple times. I didn't want to jump to the conclusion and say second and be wrong.
Right.
But, I think that's a good one.
riddle, though, right? It's a good riddle.
I like it.
A brain teaser. Is that a riddle or a brain teaser? I guess that's what's the difference between a riddle and a brain teaser?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
All right. Well, speaking of teasing us and using our brains, Mr. Fun, do we have a risque joke to bring?
Yeah. So this woman dies, and she's a widow, and her daughter's like, "You got to go start dating again, Mom. It's okay." And so she finally, after a year, she goes on a date, and believe it or not, she hits it off with this guy, and they go back to his place, and they decide to have sex. So he gets completely naked. He's standing there completely naked, and she comes out wearing her black panties. And he's like, "Hey, what's with the panties?" And she says, "You can play with my boobs. You can fondle my entire body. But down there, I'm still in mourning." And so the guy goes to the bathroom. He comes out. Now he's got a black condom on. And she goes, "Well, what's with the black condom?" And he said, "Well, I'd like to offer my deepest condolences."
Jeez.
Deepest condolences. All right, I got another one that may make you laugh. This is an 88-year-old man. He goes to the doctor. The doctor says, "What's new? Anything up?" And he goes, "Yeah. Pretty excited to tell you, I'm married now. I married a 20-year-old girl, and I got her pregnant. And the doctor thinks for a minute, and then he decides to share a story. He says, I have a hunter friend who's almost your age. And one day he was going out hunting, and he mistakenly grabbed his cane instead of his rifle to go hunting. So he's walking through the woods, and he stumbles on the most magnificent beaver he's ever seen. And instinctively, the hunter raises the cane, thinking it's his rifle, and he tries to pull the trigger, and he just goes bang, bang, bang. Well, almost unexplainably, the beaver is blown backwards, falls over, and is dead. And the patient says, well, that doesn't make any sense. Someone else must have unloaded on that beaver. And the doctor just nods his head in agreement.
You lost me halfway through that joke.
Somebody else must have unloaded on that beaver. Meaning,
I got you. There we go. Here. This is what I was hoping to be able to play. There we go.
Let's do the podcast.
It's not as good when it's remote. You can't see my gestures and stuff. You didn't see me unloading on a beaver.
Yeah, that's right. Very good. So, Lucky, how do they get a hold of us?
Talkabout2023@gmail.com. Please keep the email coming. We've had some great emails come in about our last couple of episodes. We have had a couple good guests on. Hopefully people have enjoyed that. We're going to have some more guests, maybe even some on-site tapings of our show. So some locations around the DMV. So stay tuned for that.
Why don't you tease that, Mr. Fun? Who has asked us to come back, even though we never thought we would get asked?
Yeah,
to come back?
Seven Locks Brewery, great bunch of folks who they had us come out twice. We did it twice with them, right?
Yes, we did one without an audience and one with an audience.
And the one with the audience, we didn't really know our audience. You know that saying? Because I told a few dirty jokes and people grabbed their children and literally ran out the side door of the place. I was a little nervous.
It was good. It was good though. So it was wonderful. So
anyways,
what was that?
Rockville. So we might be doing an on-site in Rockville sometime soon at the Seven Locks Brewery.
So we will publish it accordingly. So anyways, guys, good to see you, even remotely, as Mr. Fun has said. And we will do it again next week. So until then, let me just say goodbye.
Who are you picking, Mr. Fun, to win the NCAA championship?
You know what? My 2 seed, St. John's.
St. John's.
Upset favorite. What do you think, Biff? You got somebody you're rooting for?
I haven't. It's one of those years where I haven't watched a lot of basketball. I did watch St. John's play though. They look good. They're a really mature team. I gotta think it's gonna be. I'm gonna say Florida just for lack of, because I think Florida has been playing pretty well.
You're sticking with Maryland, Lucky?
No, I'm going to Auburn. I think Maryland's gonna make a run, but Auburn, they have a lot of talent, so I'm picking them.
Awesome. Well, listen, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. It's the one day that we can all pretend to be Irish and get wasted.
Yeah, that's the one day where it makes sense to do that, as opposed to every other time we get wasted.
Right.
So, I'm not going to pretend I'm getting wasted. I'm going to do it tomorrow. So
you're going to Looney's. What time are you going?
I'm going to go. I don't know. I will see. Risque or my son's home, so we might go bang it out.
Yeah. So that's an appearance. People can go see Lucky at Looney's in Fulton.
That's
right?
it.
All right.
Just
good.
remember, the views of Lucky are not necessarily held by all members of the drunken views. The drunken views of Lucky might not be.
I would never speak for you, Mr. Fun.
All right, guys. I'll see you.